Welcome to the Extreme Underground, the show where I take a look at some of the most disturbing and controversial films in the world of cinema. Today we'll be talking about Honeymoon. Directed by Diego Cohen, starring Hector Costafakis and Paulina Ahmed, our lead Jorge is a medical doctor that kidnaps his neighbor Isabel and locks her in his basement, where he performs various acts of torture in a way to condition her into loving him. From a technical aspect, this movie is fairly well done. It looks pretty decent, and the sound effects intensify the different acts of torture that are performed on Isabel. The soundtrack and the score also really helps build the tension as Isabel is locked up and she's trying to kind of figure out how she can get out of the situation that she's been put in. What makes Honeymoon a little bit unique is the fact that Jorge seems like a guy who seems completely genuine in what he's doing. Well, it is really fucked up. He does seem like this is going to work and that he genuinely just wants somebody to love him. And on the flip side, Isabel knows this guy. She goes jogging and she says hi to him like every morning. And she has many run-ins with Jorge before he inevitably kidnaps her. So you can kind of get inside Isabel's head as you're trying to figure out, why did this happen and why did it all of a sudden happen? How long has this man been plotting to do this? There's a lot of questions that she must have going on in her head, and she does a pretty good job at delivering these emotions through her acting throughout the film. Unfortunately, the same can't be said for Jorge. I don't think the acting was very strong from our villain, and I just couldn't really get into his mindset. You can easily understand why he might have gone off the hinges, but they don't really develop his character enough to really give him that motivation to allow the audience to know exactly why he snapped and why he really needs this woman in his life. Another big issue that I had, and I know that a lot of people will have, is the torture aspect of this movie. Because this movie revolves on torture and conditioning someone, the actual acts of torture are not that extreme. There are a few really good gore gags, but unfortunately they're too few and far between, and they come way too late in the movie for it to really have an impact, because by the time these scenes are introduced, you're probably already expecting them and they might not deliver to what you had envisioned in your head. And while I'm not going to spoil the ending, it is worth mentioning because I absolutely hated it. It's just poor writing and it just doesn't make any sense. And while there is initially some closure, to an extent, even though you don't really get the backstories for either of our characters, there is a follow-up scene that is going to aggravate many, and it would have been best if they just excluded it altogether. Overall, this isn't a great movie. There are some unique aspects that you don't see in a lot of abduction movies, and I did think that Paulina Ahmed did a pretty solid job. I don't think that the characters were actually fleshed out enough. I don't think there was enough character development for you to completely be invested in both of our characters, and because the movie revolves around basically just two characters, if you're not emotionally invested in both of them 100%, then you're not going to believe the acts that they're doing, and you're not going to believe the film in general. I also don't think this movie had the torture aspects that it needed to really elevate it in the extreme genre, which this is clearly trying to be a part of. There are a couple decent effects, but they really could have used some more to really have a huge impact and make this movie worth sharing with your friends. So with that said, I'm gonna give this 2 full course meals out of 5. As always, thank you for watching. Like this video and comment below with your thoughts on Honeymoon if you've seen it. If you haven't, there are links in the description where you can find it, and at the time of recording, this is actually streaming right now on Netflix. And if this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe to the channel to stay updated with everything Bloodbath and beyond.